and welcome to the Act with Purpose podcast. I am joined today by a very, very special guest. Her name is Kayla Hutton. Kayla is a past student of mine, and also she is really doing incredible things in the television and film industry. So we're here today to find out a little bit about her personal story and a little bit about some of her training and experiences. So please welcome Miss Kayla Hutton.
Hello.
It's so good to have you here.
It's so good to be here.
And I love that you finally get to see the space too.
No, it's awesome.
Isn't it fun?
Yeah, it's like, it's a vibe, even outside with the market. And
Yeah, it's kind of neat, right?
Yeah.
Where else can you come in and do a podcast and then also, pick up a fresh
Some
loaf of bread?
vegetables.
Some
Yeah.
vegetables from your local
Right?
garden.
Maybe some lotion.
Exactly. You never know.
Yeah.
I also want to acknowledge we have here to my right, we have our sound engineer and our operations manager for Act with Purpose. Please give it up for Adam Peddle.
You can't see me, but I'm here. I'm just like the overlord, just coming in with the voice.
Okay. I'm not comfortable with that title, but we'll discuss that later. So one of the things that I love talking to actors about is like, when did you know? Was it when you were before you even took classes? Did you know like this was going to be your path? Was it after you started taking classes? Was it after you got signed? Was it after a specific job? When did you get the bug and know like, this is my path. This is my thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've always loved performing. I started performing through like martial arts, where we would do like demos through like for schools, and we would travel to different cities and stuff to perform for different schools, like martial arts, taekwondo forms and stuff like that. And that kind of gave me like a thrill, like being on stage, showing people what I got, like that energy of like live audience was always like thrilling to me. And then after I got my second degree, which is like almost a decade of training and performing through martial arts, I did a play in elementary school. It was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I think I was sleepy. I can't quite remember. But it was some I think they like changed the names of the dwarves, but I was one of the dwarves, and I remember one of the girls who were older than me playing Snow White. I was like in awe of her, just like her performance and just her being able to lead an entire show, like being like 13. Like it was quite nice to watch. And then after that, I just said to my mom, I need to join acting school right now. I need to figure out how to start in this business. And I Googled acting school, and I sent in my headshot, which was literally like a pixelated photo off my laptop. It was quite embarrassing, but I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, I just need to get a school. I need to learn, I need to grow my knowledge on this because I have no idea, right? And yeah, I looked it up, sent my headshot in, and then my mom gets a random call one day from an acting school being like, hi, yeah, we love your daughter. She sent in a photo. My mom's like, who are these weirdos? Like, why are you calling me about my 13-year-old, right? And then, yeah, I was like, Mom, this is the school. Let's go to it. And from there, I did this kind of audition to get into the school, and I remember the commercial that I auditioned for. It was a Jimmy Choo type of commercial, and I performed for a couple people, and I was like, yeah, this is it. After I did the little commercial in front of like 10 people, and you were there as well, it was thrilling. I was like, this is it. And then from there, I just never stopped. Yeah.
What keeps you going? Other than coffee.
Honestly, I think it's the rejection. Like getting rejected, it makes me just want to work harder. Like, oh, they don't. Okay, let me go on to the next one. Let me keep going. Let me keep training. And honestly, just wanting to learn, wanting to like absorb as much as possible, because I'm just that type of person. To just want to keep expanding my mind on certain things and knowledge. And so, yeah, that was one of the things that still keep me going today, is just the fact that, hearing the no can make you kind of feel, oh, sometimes, maybe they don't like me no, you got this. You're an individual. You're, unique. And I tell myself that, and that's what keeps me going. Yeah.
I find that interesting that you, excuse me, you talked a little bit about martial arts. And I'm curious how that influenced you in terms of your audition process, because I think having that discipline, number one, every actor that I've worked with that has martial arts in their background understands discipline, understands feedback.
Yep.
And I think one of the things I love working with people who have either dance training or martial arts, something where they're moving their body through space, is they understand how their body moves and they're able to add it into the character.
Exactly. It's a physical aspect. Yeah. Also, I find with martial arts, like we did a lot of meditating and just, I find with meditating, you get in touch with your body, your mind, the connection between your soul, your spirit, all of that. And that definitely helped me and still helps me to this day get into character, practice my scenes, figure out, what is this character trying to say physically, mentally, instead of just saying the words on the piece of paper and, trying to figure out what maybe casting wants. It's more so, what do I feel from these words and how do they make my body feel? Even I find when I'm filming some stuff, like even on set, to remind myself to like get to certain places, I always try to remember physical experiences that has made me feel a certain way. So let's say if I'm, one scene is, kind of going in the direction of anger or really like a lot of frustration, I'll remember when I was physically like very, very frustrated, and that has helped me, incorporate that into my acting and scene study and all that. Yeah.
Do you think having martial arts training and kind of having a life before coming into acting gives you a bit of an advantage because you had a life before versus somebody who's just like, they come into acting, they've never done anything else, all they know is acting?
I think it gave me a lot of confidence. A lot of confidence, because I was so used to doing those in-house tournaments and doing those demo team performances in schools in front of people. I was already in front of a lot of people, hundreds even sometimes, so going into acting, it was almost just like another path of performing in a way, right? So it made me feel more comfortable in front of the camera, in front of people, being able to talk, socialize, gave me those type of, attributes. Yeah. Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah.
Now, you've been through some things.
Yes.
In your life.
Yes.
And you're a tough cookie. But if you could go back and tell your younger self one little piece of advice.
Oh, this is deep.
What would it be? What would you encourage, or like, what do you think that younger version of you needed to hear?
I mean, this might sound really corny, but always be yourself. Like, never let any situation you're in, or if, never let rejection or negativity change who you are, because it's still to this day, it's something I always battle with, like, the confidence. It's a come and go type of thing. Sometimes you have downs, sometimes you have ups. And I think it's just that balance of confidence, knowing yourself, and just loving being yourself. Instead of loving just like yourself, love yourself, be confident, but love being yourself. Love who you are, what you bring to the table, know what you bring to the table, and be confident in your choices and commit to them. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I got a question. I'm jumping in here. I'm really curious to hear about a story or anything in your life where you have been to the lows, and maybe it was through like a tough rejection, or maybe you were beating yourself up mentally. Like, how did you get through that?
Yeah.
And if you don't mind me asking, like, how did you get through that? Because a lot of people that I know that we work with, sometimes they go through those lows when they're facing a lot of rejection, they haven't seen the end result of all their work, so it's really tough. So how did you get out of that kind of situation in your life?
I would say, I mean, it's still an ongoing thing of like that feeling of being rejected. It sucks. You know what I'm saying? It sucks, but it's just all about knowing who I am and being confident in the fact that I'm special and I bring something unique to the table, and just holding on to that. Because, I mean, people can lose that a lot, especially with a lot of rejection in this industry. You can lose that, oh, you know, I don't got anything special. They don't want me. They don't want to pick me for this role, da-da-da-da-da. But it's really just about not letting that yes or that no define you as an actor or as a person, right? Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, you do.
Not letting the yes or no.
Yeah.
Well, I very early in life, I can't remember who said it, but somebody said, if you're going to believe the good reviews, you have to believe the bad reviews too.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
And so I really like that you're like, the yes or the no doesn't define who you are. Those are just events
Yep.
that happen along the way, but you are still you.
I mean, it keeps me sane. If I didn't think like that, I would be like, I'd be in like a dark hole. Like the amount of rejection you get, you know what I mean? Like I would just be like
It's
down in a
hard.
hole. Yeah.
And I
you
think a
have
lot
to-
of actors are not prepared for that.
They're not. They're
Especially
not.
when you see a lot of, just the generalized actors, we look for a lot of approval sometimes. I mean, that's why we turn to performance a lot when we're younger. We want people to approve of our performance. So when we grow older and we get into this industry, if we have that same mentality, it's kind of hindering in a sense, because if you're seeking approval from all these different people, you're not going to get it.
Yeah,
Right? You
yeah.
have to get it from yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, even at the beginning of like me coming into this industry, I remember I would go into an audition, and when I got direction, I'd be like, oh my God, like, what is happening? Like, why are they telling me what to do? Like, am I not doing it right? I remember this one time I called up John after one of my auditions, and I was like, John, like, they gave me direction. And he was like, no. Cut it. He was like, direction
There's
is
the
good.
That
You
sounds
know
like
that?
John.
Yeah. You know, like, no. Direction's good. You're doing great. Don't let you need direction. Direction is, it's them figuring out if you can take direction, if you can switch it up, So that's one thing I learned very early on. This
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
But you know what? I think that that's something that a lot of people struggle with. They see redirection as a bad thing.
Yeah.
But the thing you need to know with redirection is that if they're taking the time, like they did with you, to say, okay, try it like this, and if you can just turn a little here, and then lift your head on this line, or don't sit on that word in this line too long, or whatever. If they're taking the time to give you specific instruction, they're picturing you in the role.
Yeah. And even sometimes when I've booked even going into an audition room and them looking at like the panel of like 6 to 10 people, and them just like just like deadpan, and then I would book the role after, you know what I mean? So it really does depend, but direction is good. And I mean, no direction is good too. I mean, it just, you have to be confident in yourself, commit to your choices as an actor, and be confident in them, right?
I got a question about direction, because I faced a lot in my career where, there's good directors, without naming names, and there's bad directors, and you don't really understand some direction. It could be very vague.
Yeah.
So have you ever had a situation like that, and like where it's been very vague? If you want to give an example, go for it. And like, how do you as an actor process that when you got to go back on set in like a minute and execute that direction?
Honestly, I ignore it. No, I'm actually being serious. Like, if it is very vague, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing, but stay on the lines of what they're asking. And I mean, I know if they won't let me look like a complete fool. Like,
Right.
if it wasn't along the lines of what they wanted, they would tell me, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's one thing I've really worked on, is trusting production, trusting your director, trusting yourself. Without trusting my director, I feel like my head would be like, oh my God, like, what am I doing? Am I doing it right? But yeah, sometimes you'll get these vague directions and you have no idea what to do, but just commit to yourself, right? Commit to to your choices. And I don't know, I always go back to that because it's really about committing, right? Because, you know, some directors are really just silent. Let me see what you got, take the scene, go away, you know, take it away and do your thing. And they'll be like, okay, well, you know, I want you to be sad. I'm like, okay. I mean, I feel like it's your job as an actor to find that place on why your character would be sad.
Yeah.
You know, work on, you know, that's character development. That's, you know, scoring your script, study it, you know. So I think it's all about trust when it comes to very vague direction or no direction at all. Trust that your director will give you some guidance.
Yeah. Like I've had a director, you know, kind of tell me, I had a really bad scene one time, not to take away the story of the podcast, but I had a really bad scene one time and I was struggling and then they moved on. I was like, oh, did they not get what they wanted? And my acting coach came to me inside and said, no, they would never cut and move on unless they got what they wanted. So you did it. So don't beat yourself up. Stay confident. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I've definitely been there where you know, we'll do like 3-4 takes. I'm like, that's it? What are you doing? What do you mean? Give me some more, you know? You didn't even say anything. You just said, good job. Like, give me some criticism. Tell me I'm horrible, you know? Like, give me something.
That's such an actor. When we get criticism, we're like devastated. When we don't get it, we're like devastated.
Yeah, right? Right? Yeah. It's just really about, because you can't, sometimes you walk away and you hear nothing. It's really about, I even find when you're not, when there's like, when I used to act in like, no, I would say background, yeah, like a word, you know, I would get into my head about like, oh, maybe because I'm lower on the cast list or something, the director won't give me direction, but it's really not like that. If you're, you know, not on the right track, you'll be told you're not on the right track. Just trust yourself, yeah, and I stick by that for sure, yeah.
I just want to point out that when you said, you know, there's some really good directors, but we're not going to name any names. And you said, and then there's some really bad ones. I was thinking you were going to name the bad ones. I was like, where is he going with it?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't do that.
So when you're on set, what do you do? Do you have like a technique or anything that you do to kind of like stay in, quote unquote, the zone?
Yeah.
How do you stay focused? How do you stay centered?
So as soon as I book the role, I make a playlist for that character. So I'll put an entire playlist of like the vibe of that character, even go through the script or the scenes we're working on that day and kind of like list out kind of the songs that make you feel the way, you know, what your character's going through, and I'll listen to it. I'll like ignore everyone, put my AirPods in or my headset, and I'll listen to music until I'm ready to go on set.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we have to like find those playlists.
Oh yeah, they're
For
all
each
like
character.
emojis. Yeah. I have like so many playlists on Apple
that's
Music.
neat.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Music's really important to me too. I think that's music has always been a really powerful way to connect to emotion. So I love that you're tapping into that. Amazing.
Yeah.
Who is in your support system?
Oh,
Who's
my
your tribe?
mom.
Yeah, I know your
Mom's
mom.
my best friend. I love my
Yeah.
mom. She's been with me day one. I mean, gosh, she's like my reader. I remember one time John was like, never let your parents direct you, okay? Don't let. And then self-tapes happen, and it's like, well, they're my readers. And I mean, I'll let her say what she wants, but at the end of the day, I know what I'm doing, you know? But yeah, it's funny. Sometimes she'll be like, Kayla, I think maybe if you try it, Mom, just relax, you know? But
I love it.
I would say my mom and I mean my two best friends, Naya and Kirsten. Those three women are just constantly by me, and you know, honestly, a lot of people don't really talk about this, but being in this industry, it's very like touch and go. You never know. You have to be by your phone. You know if you're going to have to drop your plans, this and that. And I'll be willing to drop all my plans, you know what I mean, to even do a self-tape, anything, right? You got to do it, right? You got to put in the work. And you lose a lot of connections with that. You lose a lot of friends, you know, that don't really understand that, you know, you have to go and do something, or you have work to do and your work is like 15 hours a day. So, you know what I mean? Like things like that. So yeah, I would say those 3 women have always stuck by me and have always supported my dreams and just me as an individual. Yeah.
It's interesting that you talk about like how we lose connection because I mean, it's something I definitely struggle with too. We don't have normal hours. We don't have weekends,
Not
which
a
most
9 to
people
5,
have, right?
Yeah.
That's usually when people are in acting class. They're
Exactly.
doing whatever they need to get done. They're getting their self tapes
Right?
done for Monday morning, 10 a.m.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that you say that. Have you also had to deal with jealousy as your career started to kind of blossom?
Yeah.
Did the haters start coming out?
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't call them haters. You know, I'm so nice, but I would say people who, you know, didn't really give a crap about me, you know, pretending to like care what I'm doing or how I am. That's mostly just fake stuff. Fake people, fake love
Right.
is very close, more close than I thought it was, and yeah, just really being cautious with myself and who I revolve myself around, just because, yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of fake love out there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. So with everything that's happening, I mean, there's been lots of conversations around BIPOC. And there's been lots of conversations about, the feeling on set. Have you ever experienced racism?
I would say microaggressions. So yeah, I mean, I would 100% in a makeup and hair chair. You know, I remember the last thing I worked on was the only time I've actually felt included, you know, taken care of, cared for, whereas earlier on, I would go on set and they would look at my hair and be like, curly hair, you look perfect. Even though I've just rolled out of bed to come get my hair done, you look great, let's leave you like that, you know? Or with makeup not having the right tones, it's, you know, it's like, come on, right? So we are in 2023, come on.
Yeah.
And those type of things. I mean, I remember at one point I would bring my own hair stuff and my own makeup stuff to set because I could not trust the hair and makeup departments on set. They had, honestly, if I'm being real, they had no idea what they were doing most of the time with my hair. And when I would see, that odd time when I would see them actually doing something would be like bare minimum, whereas, you know, a white girl would go in a chair, nice long blonde hair, and they would do like braids and maybe add like a wig or, you know, curl the hair, hairspray, zhuzh it, you know, you know, and I'll be over there, I'll be like,
You're good.
perfect. I'll be like, okay. I mean, if you say so, and then I would go to my trailer and or even my mom, lifesaver, would help me out, and she'd be, you know, fixing my hair and doing it for me. So, yeah, 100%.
Monique, the therapist, the reader, the hair and makeup person.
right. She's
the limousine
everything.
driver.
That's what I'm saying. The chauffeur. Oh my God, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting because I had an experience recently on set where the same thing happened, and it was hair and makeup just didn't have the training, didn't be able to assist.
Yeah.
And I feel kind of like, you know, there's so many other aspects. I know acting coaches are going through training to talk about racism and microaggressions and equality on set and that sort of thing. And directors, producers, everyone's going through this training, but it does seem like hair and makeup is kind of one of those factions that has been left out.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I feel like everyone it's not just on the hair and makeup, right?
No.
I mean, who hired the hair and makeup? You know what I'm saying? And if you know there's, you know, people of color on your cast, you should 100% be hiring black hair and makeup artists, because there's people that would be hired and say, oh yeah, I know how to do black hair, curly hair, you know, kinky hair, I can do it. But when it comes to it, they have no idea just to get the job. no, people really need to do their research, right? So I think that's one thing that would help.
Yeah.
Hire Black artists, right? Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
For new people coming into the industry, what is your best piece of advice?
Best piece of advice.
Don't do it.
Seriously, I need sleep.
Get into this industry because you love it. Not because you see yourself somewhere in 10 years and you want to be this A-list celebrity. Don't do it for that. Do it because you genuinely love the craft and you want to have your cup half full and be able to learn and grow and fill that cup as well, you know? Don't just do it because it's in or because you really like that TV show or, you know, do it because you're committed. Because it's a long process. You don't just, it's not an overnight thing, you know? I mean, I know a couple people who haven't acted at all and they hit that big role, but then you still have all those years. What about after that, right? So it's about just being committed and wanting to do this craft, loving to be in this craft, right? Yeah.
I appreciate you saying that. There's, for me, acting is like a religion, and I get worried when people just join and they think that they're, you know, instantly going to be in. And the other thing that's hard is, obviously, I work a lot with kids, is parents that are, you know, in this, and I blame Instagram for everything. Because
it's TikTok.
Everyone competes with one another, and it's like, guys, everyone's on their own path.
Everyone, yeah.
And, you know, when you focus on your own path and you focus inward, there's so much more reward than trying to, like, be the first one out to book, the first one to get the agent, the first one to, you know, be on a movie set, the first one to get a role. And I feel like sometimes people get so desperate that they forget to focus on what's important, right? And so I appreciate you talking about it from that perspective, because it's one of the biggest cautions. You have to get it in it for the right reason. Yeah,
because then what if you do, okay, you get that audition, okay, now you're on set. Okay, now you got to really show that you're in this, you know, and I mean, after those 15-hour days, you know, we'll see, right? So it's all about just loving this and wanting it, and not just wanting an end goal, but generally falling in love with the process of growing yourself, learning, being in this industry. Exactly.
Yeah. And that's why I always challenge people. The first thing I ask them to do is ask themselves, and if you can't answer it, then you shouldn't be pursuing this. But you have to know, why do you want to be an actor? Yeah. You know, and if it's because you think you can pay off your mortgage next month, or
good luck.
It's not a good idea.
Yeah.
If you're doing it because you just want to be more popular or liked, while I do think acting has some great therapeutic side effects, it's not the reason to go into it.
Exactly.
You know, at least not as a career. Yeah. Everyone should enjoy the, you know, benefits of what, you know, training in acting can do.
Like all of it should fulfill you, right? Not just that booking, right? Yeah. Exactly.
You know, you've got to enjoy doing self-tapes.
Exactly.
You got to enjoy doing the work.
And reading. I don't know how actors say they don't read. How do you not read? You gotta read. You gotta keep reading, whether it's a book or a script or just you're picking up a random monologue on the weekend just to memorize and work on. You have to consistently keep reading always. Yeah.
I got a question.
Actually, Ron taught me that.
Oh,
bless his heart. Can we just say, God bless to Ron Leech,
God bless,
casting director who just recently passed.
Rest in peace to him.
Yeah. And you know what? I loved listening to Ron. Ron had a way of speaking that just drew you in, and you hung on every word. Yeah. And the thing that's interesting, and I remember talking to him about, is, you know, we've handed over the keys to this industry to casting directors, and so many casting directors don't have the training and the experience that he had as an actor, as a director, as a writer, And so he really came to it with such perspective and such a wealth of experience.
100%, yeah.
And when you talk about like a passion for the industry, when he talked about things, you could see he became
like
electric.
his eyes lit. Yeah.
He became
100%.
electric. He was so excited to share his knowledge. And if he saw that you were absorbing something or something resonated with you, it just fed his energy even more. And he would just, such a great storyteller.
Great.
Yeah. It's a huge loss for the industry as a whole, not just Toronto.
And like I want to throw my experience with Ron, and I don't think he ever knew this, and I never told him this, but he kind of changed my life in a sense where he said, you don't have to just be one thing. You can do multiple things.
Yeah.
And I remember one night talking to him for hours, just me and him, and he was just talking about his past and how he came up, with real estate and like how he hustled and how he grinded at a young age, and it was so inspiring to me. And it kind of made me take a step back and think about what I wanted and all the different avenues that I could do at the same time and put my passion into. So I never got the opportunity to tell him, but I'll put it out there for the world. He did change my life.
Yeah.
And here you are living those words.
Yeah, I'm
you
doing many
very
things.
Spherically.
Yeah, and for any actor out there, find other things that you enjoy doing, because although this industry is very fulfilling, you can do multiple things, right? Keep you sane too during the rejection, right? Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you like to do as well?
Well, I'm writing right now. I never thought I would, but I'm writing a short and a film, which has been in process. And
Nice. Tell us about that. Unless it's we need to sign an NDA or.
Oh. Low-key, I'm throwing shade.
Everyone. If you're out there listening.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, it's basically a story just about, the film that not the short film, but I would say a feature. It's about two teenage girls who have to go live with their dad that they haven't seen in about 10 years. And it kind of goes off from there. Drama and, love in there. I call it a love story between family, but also, an intimate love story between, one of the leading ladies, the teen girls, and another boy in their school. Yeah. I've been playing around with that. It's been fun, yeah.
Amazing. Good for you. Mm-hmm. So do you think your acting has helped you?
Oh, 100%.
With writing?
Yeah. I mean,
you get to see so many scripts and different writing styles.
Exactly, yeah. So that has definitely helped me even just like kind of structure everything. The last thing I worked on, for the first time, I got really close to like crew members, whether that's the DP or, assistant director, whatever it is. And I just learned a lot about the production side of things and, how things play out before we even get on set. How are things planned out? The collages, the imagery of like what's going on. So I've definitely learned from acting and incorporated it into writing for sure. Yeah.
What's something on set that you really saw that was behind the scenes that you were like, wow, this is like really interesting to me?
Yeah, I mean, the last DP I worked with, he was so awesome, and he had like this color like method where some warm family scenes would be a lot of warm colors, and then the intense scenes would be cool colors, and it was just like the way he incorporated it. And he showed me one of their planning rooms, and it was like a whole room of just colors of like each take and just how things flow. And I thought that was so cool how that could just go from paper on a wall to being on set making magic, right? Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I like that because it's almost like they're painting like this picture.
Yeah, and he would use like I've never heard of anything like that, so I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm stealing that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so like, what are you binging? Like, what are you watching? What are you addicted to? What's like your show right now?
I just wrapped up for the 4th time watching Game of Thrones. All 8 seasons.
Oh my gosh.
4
really?
times the 4th time. I'm obsessed with Game of Thrones. Just
One
the
of the best
writing,
shows.
the imagery, oh my God, the costumes. Amazing. Like the amount of background they have to hire for that show. Incredible. I mean, it's just insane, right? I mean, the whole town could get a job.
Yeah.
On that. No, it's insane. Yeah. So Game of Thrones has been one that I just live by, and Scandal. Anything Shonda Rhimes, just bow down. Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh. And have you listened to her podcast?
She's a podcast?
Yes.
I didn't even know
oh
that.
My gosh.
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's got a couple and a couple of audiobooks too that are just fantastic. I love
I gotta get
listening
into
to
that.
her. And there's something about like her book is awesome, but listening to her talk about it and to hear it in her voice and her sense of humor and just her sensibility is just so fantastic. She's amazing. Scandal was one of my favorites as well, but I do have a confession. I've never seen Game of Thrones. Not
Boo.
one
Wow, that's
episode.
crazy.
See, why? Why haven't you seen it?
Okay, so I have this weird thing. If anything gets too much hype, I shy away from it.
Right.
So same thing with, Survivor, never saw it.
Like
Because
the reality show.
The reality show.
Interesting.
Because when I was in Peter Pan, that was like when it was really, really big. I was in Boston performing in Peter Pan with Kathy Rigby, and the whole cast was like, all in this van, like talking about like, oh my gosh, we got to watch tonight. We've got rehearsal.
Yeah.
If we speed home, we can be there for Survivor. We can do all this
Yeah.
stuff. And I'm just like, I'm gonna make pasta.
Yeah. I mean, I was late on the Game of Thrones vibe. I mean, it was like a year or two after they completed season 8, I got into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like bored in my dorm room one day, and it just clicked something.
Have you
special.
seen the new one? The
Oh, yeah.
House of Dragons?
Oh, yeah.
Incredible.
It's hard for me to watch those like season 1, only 8 episodes. Where are those 20 episodes? I
I know.
You know?
It's because I think I thought about that exact same
Yeah,
thing. It's because
yeah.
nowadays they're making 8 movies. Like they have to make 8 movies.
Oh, that's very true.
And that's why Stranger Things is taking even longer. It's taking like 2-3
Yeah.
years. It's like because there's so much production.
Yeah.
There's so much planning. I mean,
Yeah.
you see it, right?
Yeah, exactly. I can't lie, though. I do miss the 20-episode shows.
Oh, me too.
When Scandal
too.
was like, 20 episodes
Yeah.
per season? I'm like, yes. Yeah. And it's just a tease now. You watch like a season with 8 episodes and you're like, so what's next? Give me more.
Have you
I
seen?
actually used the
Go ahead.
opening scene from Scandal in my scene study class.
Oh, so
Because I love
Harrison's one.
Yeah,
Sorry, I haven't
so I
done that.
love teaching the pace.
Yes,
Because it's so
very
fast
quick,
paced.
yes.
Because so many people love to sit on dialogue and you
Mm-hmm.
can drive a truck through the grand pauses that they put in there.
Right.
It's like
You're like
and now
watching
stay
a tape.
tuned for this commercial break. And you're waiting for the next line to come out. And that scene is so ridiculously fast paced. When I looked at the script, it's like 8 pages of text in under a minute.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so bam, bam,
Yeah.
bam. But what did you say? No, I said this. It's
Yeah.
it's such
awesome.
a rally.
Yeah. And the amount of dialogue they have, like each character, like describing, whoever their client is at the time, insane. It's and everyone on the cast can talk that fast.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And what
Yeah.
I love, oh my gosh, we're having a Scandal moment.
I know.
I can't talk Game of Thrones, but I can talk some Scandal.
Right?
So what I love about that show is even though they're speaking so fast, the acting doesn't waver.
Nope.
You can still see the thought process, even though it's fast, you can still see the inner monologue. I love looking into actors' eyes. I love watching eyes when I'm watching a show because I want to see the thought process. I want to see them get the idea for their next line and then they say it and I go, oh, I saw when you were thinking of that. Like it's just like that's the magic to me.
It is,
and
yeah.
that show is filled with so many great moments.
They're all committed for
Yeah.
sure, I would say. They go all the way.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite scene?
Ooh. I mean, it would have to be something between Olivia and Fitz for sure.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I also loved the soundtrack. The way they
yeah.
used Stevie Wonder was so fantastic, and I feel like it was such a really beautiful, but also very authentic kind of like moment. I loved the way they used music in that show.
Yeah. I would say, honestly, my favorite, now that I thought about it, Quinn Perkins, when Olivia's dad kidnaps her.
Yes.
And Carrie comes to the house. Sorry, Olivia comes to the house. I'm saying it like I know her or something. Like, what the hell?
Hi, Carrie.
No, Olivia goes to the house, and she kind of, her dad is kind of like, oh, you got to do this, or I'm going to kill Quinn, right? And he goes to kill her, and it just turns out to be not a death, and it wildness. I think that would definitely have to be my favorite scene.
And that show was filled with such hope.
Right? Yeah.
And also such darkness. But what I loved about those characters, even the dark characters, had a conscience and had an inner struggle.
Yes.
They weren't just bad. You saw them struggling with, I don't want to do this, and I'm here because of my addiction to whiskey.
Yeah. No, literally, yeah. It's a great show.
What a great show. Awesome. What are you watching, Adam?
I was actually going to say. I have just watched The Last of Us. I don't know if y'all saw it.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I played a video game, so I already know what happens, unfortunately, but stellar acting. Love the Last of Us.
Incredible. What's his name? Pedro.
Oh, Pedro Pascal.
He's insane. He's doing so well right now with The Last of Us, The Mandalorian.
Yeah. I mean, way back when, Narcos.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Zaddy, is that what they're calling him now?
It's incredible. That's a great show. And it's funny you say the video game. One of my best friends, he played the video games, and he's like, it is so accurate, like it's so good, and it kind of just goes to show how good the writing in the video game was for it to be translated to screen that effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you find that, like, since you played the game?
I mean, there's definitely some differences,
Right.
but I think they made really good choices in the TV series, and I mean, those actors are from Game of Thrones, so obviously I'm a big fan. Great show. I can't wait for season 2 for that one.
Oh, I know. It's going to take a while, though. It's going to be another year and a half or 2 years or something.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the revenue for games versus television and film?
No, but I'd love to.
It's insane. So there was a graph that came out, and it showed, like, blockbuster film, TV series, and then games.
Look at that.
It really is alarming. And I think that really is going to be the wave of the future, is tying in games to television and film.
Yeah.
There are a ton of good games with great stories, great acting.
There's actually some casting, I think, right now. Yeah.
I would love to. That would be, because you got books. And video games is such a. It's not the old narrative of, games are just for kids. It's not anymore.
No.
Games are everywhere. Like every grown man that I know in my life plays video games.
Damn right.
Right? Like everybody. So it's like, that's huge. So I would love, like, even games like, Grand Theft Auto. Like, that's a huge game. Red Dead Redemption. Like, those are great stories. I would love to see that translated to the screen.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's something for you are not incorrect. There's something for every age group, every interest. It's pretty phenomenal. My mom is 86 years old, texts, plays Scrabble with my family online on her phone, and like she's like it's become such a huge part of everyone's life in a way. Talk about staying connected. Sometimes that's the only way I can stay connected is through with my family.
Technology.
Just through Scrabble.
Yeah.
Like, I'll say all my best friends, like, they live up in Ottawa. We went to high school together and we split. But the one way we're staying connected, and I'm in all their bachelor parties, is because we just play video games together.
I think mine is sending memes. I've reached that point where now I'm just like, I'm not even having conversations. It's really just meme conversation. Meme, and then you send a meme, and then you send yeah. It's really all about that.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having
thank you
me.
for inspiring and for being such a positive role model for other people that are coming up through the ranks, because I do think you have a very specific voice, and I think you're reaching people.
Thank you.
And I know that there's going to be a lot of people who, you know, just like, you know, you looked up to actors like, of course,
you.
Yeah.
John.
Well, well, I was going to say Kerry Washington, but sure. I get mistaken a lot.
Yeah. I love that laugh.
I'm just like, I'll cut that. That will never make it past editing. But no, I really mean that in that, like, I think that the interesting thing for me being a coach is when I work with somebody who is so young, like, you know, Christian Martin and I started working when he was like around 7, and then, you know, you were very young,
13.
so many. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so to know what you guys have gone through, because I have been in your life for so long.
Yeah.
I
Almost
know
a
the
decade.
struggles. But yeah, it's fun, it's fascinating, and it's amazing to see people go through their transformation into becoming adults and what their voice is. And I just think that you're super powerful, and I want to see you keep rising, keep
you.
touching people's lives. You're amazing, and so thank you for being here today.
Well, back at you. You're amazing. Thank you for everything, and thank you for always being yourself and holding on to that, because, I mean, I love you, man. I mean, I've known you for like a decade, right?
It's so weird
thank
to
you.
say that, but yes.
Yeah.
To me, you'll
Yeah.
still always be like, it's.
The
I
little
can't help it.
13-year-old.
Even when hell,
Yeah.
I still look
Yeah.
at you as a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
The little kid with the broken ankle walking in. And like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're too big.
Slow down.
I think that's exactly what I said to you.
No, well, I think I remember the coach at the time with the workshop was like, everyone loved it. Like, whoa, where'd that energy come from? But then the coach was like, yeah, like, we're gonna need to just tone it down, because it was like massively
Yeah.
big. It was too big.
I love that. You gotta love John. I mean, I still to this day
Yeah.
take everything you've taught me in my little notebook and take it with me everywhere and consistently use all your teaching. So thank you. Thank you very much. You're very special, so thank you.
Thank you.
Write that book.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Right? Shameless book plug, and it's not even written.
Yeah. Pre-orders. Look at the pre-orders.
Pre-orders.
Yeah.
Pre-orders
Yeah.
available on Amazon.
Ooh, yes.
But no, seriously, thank you so much for being here. And thank you, Adam, for running sound.
Yes.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap for today. But we hope you tune in next week. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. I'm John Stevens. Kayla Hutton, thank you so much for being here. And
Thank
you
you.
again, Adam.